What's going on? Welcome back, everybody, and we are doing another this versus that, this time between the Glock 45, that Gen 5, the one that just doesn't know where it wants to be, a hybrid, the 17 grip, the 19 slide, giving a little bit more capacity and a little bit shorter slide length, against the H&K VP9 again. Now this is the 2019 prior model. The 2020 model is 17+1 and is optics ready. This is the original version that most people have out there, 15+1. And it doesn't know where it wants to be either, because it's somewhere between a 17 and a 19 with a 15+1 capacity. So it's kind of confused, just like the Glock 45 is. We're gonna put these two misfits head to head for you, give you the specs, give a look at them, show some of that shooting footage, kind of tell you a little bit of what I think about them, but ultimately this is here to help you guys make a decision. Should you be interested in one or the other? Or, you know, maybe you're looking for something new and it is your first time. Either way, I know, like I said previous in a video, somebody is gonna turn into a farm animal and start throwing feces everywhere, whether I talk about the Glock or the H&K not being the best thing out there. And I think we all need to realize there are positives and negatives to both of these platforms. Some people are just huge fans of one over the other. I like both. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, both are extremely reliable, both are extremely proven, and I would trust my life to either of these, no questions asked. So let the shit start flying. Quickly, about the Gen 5 45. Now this is my favorite offering from Glock on their platform. Gives me a lot of what I want. I do have a couple of aftermarket things on here, the sights and a trigger in there right now besides the light. So what did the 45 bring to the table? Came to market after the 19X, didn't get that contract. We've got the 19 length on the slide here and the 17 length on the grip, which gives us more PEZ to dispense out there. And more two-way PEZ is always better. That 17+1 capacity with that nice bit longer grip, which works well for me and people with bigger hands. But you got that shorter slide, which some people say is good, some people say is bad due to the sight radius. Honestly, between a 17 and 19, most of you out there aren't going to notice a difference in the sight radius. Now that VP9, besides being the sexiest color there is out there for a handgun, which is gray, which you guys know is my favorite. If you don't, it's my favorite, the color. Now the VP9, this thing in the hand fits and feels like nothing else I've really held. And I've held a lot of handguns. It literally feels like it was made for my hand. And that is absolutely awesome. It shoots pretty good, and the more I shoot it, the more I do like it. But like I said, it's kind of confused, doesn't know where it wants to be. It's dang near the size of a 17, not too much bigger, but not anywhere near as small as the 19, and has that 15+1 capacity on the mag with the paddle mag release. Now the newer version will have a little bit more capacity and the optics plate, but this is the one that most people are going to be dealing with at this time. And the big deal killer for me is the paddle on it. I do like it. I like it more and more each time I use it, but I really need to do the pistol grip mag release, and I think it might take the H&K to a whole new level, at least for me. Now we talk about run and reliability and all that. The 45, how does she treat me out there? I'd say she treats me pretty good. Now, yes, it's a little bit shorter, but the grip makes up for that, being able to control it. A lot of times, the shorter the slide on it can be a little bit more flippy, but that's generally because flippy. I just used flippy. A little bit more recoil impulse and a little bit more muzzle flip, let's say it that way. But we can control that because we have the back straps in here and we have that longer grip. So it runs great, runs reliable, chewed through all the ammunition I've tried with it, which is reloads, which is white box, cellular and bellet, MagTech, Federal, Plus P, Gold Dot, Spear, Critical Defense, Critical Duty, and I want to say G2, what I ran through this thing, and it performed exactly what I would expect out of Glock. Now, being this she felt like she was meant for my hand, what about that H&K? It performed initially a little bit lackluster for me, and I don't know why. I think it's because it felt so good when I was in the store that I overhyped it in my head, because the more and more I shoot this and the more and more I run it, I get faster and I seem to like it more and more. Now I will say the trigger out of the box on this thing wasn't any better than the Glock in my opinion, but after putting several hundred rounds through it, she definitely opened up for me and showed me who she really was inside. We need to get into these, take these things apart, and kind of show you what's going on inside, because there is a definite difference in how these things have been engineered. We all know that the Glock, perfection, as they say, is a very minimalized, super simplistic design in there. Now the H&K group, they take things to a different, interesting style level when they engineer a firearm. Now, by no means am I saying that is a bad thing, and I know somebody out there in H&K is going to say, they're built like this for war. Great. H&K is an outstanding brand. They've run into some financial issues over the years, but they have produced extremely proven firearms for years. And like I said, I have no problem trusting myself to either. They can be engineered to the point where it is extremely difficult for the end user to actually work on them. Now that could be a positive or a negative, because a lot of bubbas out there ruin their guns trying to be a little garage smith on their own. So we're gonna get into these things. We are gonna talk about the specs, the width, the height, the barrel length, all that good stuff, the weight, because that comes down to it, the capacity, what they're made of, all the good things you need to know when you are talking about or looking into buying a new pistol. If you guys like what's going on here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. If you guys are interested in anything you see here, I will leave links down below for you. If you're looking at supporting the channel at all, I would appreciate that. You can check out that SubscribeStar link down below. We're gonna get into these things right now. The 45 and the VP9, Glock versus H&K. I know people are already mad that I'm even putting these two on the same table, but let's go ahead and talk about these. We are gonna start with the VP9 in my favorite color, which is gray, and I've got to say, H&K nailed it on their gray. I dig the color. So we're gonna go from muzzle to magwell on this bad boy right here. So starting with that front serrations right there, very nice, very deep front serrations on this. Bend nose down quite nice. It's going to help holstering, unholstering, all that good stuff. Standard looking barrel, factory obviously. Moving back, we'll see that nice long extractor, which is pretty common in M&Ps, H&Ks, and several other striker fired setups. Our front sight there is like glow in the dark material. It's not a night sight, so glow in the dark, it's like a glow stick or something, whatever. Moving back from there, that rear sight is the same thing. We've got very nice, very deep rear serrations. A lot to get onto here, which kind of leads me to ask why they put these like extended plastic cocking serration additional things here, because I actually don't like these. I don't like the way they feel, and I kind of feel that I slip off of those. We do have up here in the H&K, in the rear, we've got that striker indicator you can see in the red right there, and then when you pull the trigger, goes away. That way you know you are in battery and that you're good to go. So coming all the way back, standard back plate on there. Let's talk about the frame. We do have that kind of standard pick rail right there underneath. Gives you a lot of options as far as where you can put lights, what size of lights to work with and all that. Got your takedown lever here, your ambidextrous slide stop slide release, and I must say they did a good job here because it works well on both sides. So I'm really I'm really happy to see that they did have a good set of controls for left and right-handed people, which moves down into, we'll kind of skip a little bit, go into that powder release. Now that's my least favorite thing about the H&K. It is ambidextrous, but it's not my preferred method. It's not the one I have the most experience with, that I am the fastest with. And I find that I've got to break my grip a little more, but a lot of people love this and swear that it is faster than a pistol grip push button style release. Coming up on the back here, got a great back strap area to get your hand up in there. And when it comes to this grip, the ergonomics here, hands down, this is one of the best feeling in the hand striker pistols I personally own. You can get different side inserts, different rear inserts here. It's just good when it comes to the feel of it. The texture is good. It's not overly aggressive, not under aggressive. I normally do not like finger grooves, but this thing just, it's like it was made for me. And I keep saying that every time I do something with the H&K, but that's just how I feel. Now the trigger on the H&K out of the box really didn't, it felt a little shorter, okay? But it didn't really feel per se any better than a Gen 5 Glock until I got a few hundred rounds through it. Moving up under there, you can see the trigger guard is quite wide as compared to the Glock. And that's because we got that powder release down there. So I do find a little bit, it's a little bit annoying right there because it's so wide that right here when I come around, I feel it. And it doesn't cause blisters or anything. It doesn't cause Glock knuckle or anything, but I just feel it and it's kind of weird for me. I guess it just feels a little bit different in the hand. So let's talk about the specs overall on the VP9. Obviously it's polymer. You get 2 magazines with it. They are metal, which some people say is better. I personally think metal mags are better if they're factory. 15+1 capacity, although the new versions are going to be 17+1 with an optic ready system. 25.56 ounces, 7.34 on the overall length, 4.909 on the barrel, and 1.32 on the thickness. Now this is technically a compact, but it's really comparable to the 45. The slide is a little bit longer, but the pistol grips are dang near the same, and that's why I kind of say that neither of these really know where they want to be. A little bit different, but solid both of them. Let's go ahead, break into that 45, muzzled and mag well. DLC coated slide, nitride on the H&K if I forgot. I do have aftermarket Overwatch precision sights on this. The 45 got those front serrations, which are quite nice. The barrel is their Glock Marksman barrel. Typical Glock extractor, like I said, those aftermarket sights. Rear serrations, they're good. They're plenty to work with. It's been nicely kind of rounded off on the nose there for holstering and unholstering. Ambidextrous slide stop, slide release there. I do notice that the new kind of coating on these kind of wears faster than the Gen 4, Gen 5s. But that is what it is. Coming down into the frame up here, standard 1 notch in the frame for your lights and rail accessories. I'd like to see Glock actually come out with a pick rail with more options, but that's what they are doing. Typical Glock blocky kind of trigger guard there that barely fits my finger. You can see right there as compared to the H&K, which gives me a lot more room to get my finger in that hole. It does have an aftermarket trigger in this one. This is a factor one, which is quite awesome if you haven't seen my review on that. But from the factory, I feel that they're pretty similar until you get a lot of rounds through the H&K, and then it kind of opens up a little bit for you. So we got that standard mag release button here on the side, which is what I'm used to. No finger grooves, which I didn't like anyway, so I'm glad they removed them. A little bit of a flare on the Gen 5 pistol grips down there at the bottom that you can see. Quite a bit better than they used to be. Got those interchangeable back straps. You can get that beaver tail up there. So overall, it's nice. They did a good job on the 45. The 45 platform, or the 45 is my favorite on the Glock platform. So let's talk about the specs on the 45. You get 3 magazines with it. They are polymer. 24.93 ounces. Overall length is 7.4. Barrel of 4.02. The width, okay, 1.34. 17+1. Even though that these bad boys, put them down here, are the same kind of length there on the pistol grip, H&K didn't give us the 17+1 capacity on the 2019 and below versions. The new ones will have it. Let's talk disassembly here. Glock, drop that mag, clear it out, pull the trigger, pull it back a little bit, pull down right there, and she's going to come apart. Recoil spring out, and you got it broke down into your basic food groups. H&K, drop the mags, clear it out, but you lock it back, take down lever down, release it, pull straight forward, it comes apart, and now you've got it broken down into the major food groups as well. Quite a bit of difference in the striker block safeties right there. You can see the Glock is that typical just plunger right there, where the H&K, I know it's kind of funny, but I always say that if you look at it from the side and you put a Volkswagen Bug engine right next to it, they kind of look similar. Just a difference in designs. Rather than pressing straight in, this one kicks off to the side. So that is a difference in the H&K system. When it comes into the frame, you know, pretty typical polymer striker fired looking setup. Although Glock is so overly simplified, you've got your trigger bar, which is your cruciform, which is also your sear, which your trigger spring is connected to right there in the front. And then your connector, disconnector is right there on the side. Very simple design. Pretty much anybody can work on these after watching a decent video. H&K,
Okay, H&K has done quite a bit more. They've got a lot more stuff going on here inside their frame, between different trigger spring and then the different trigger bar spring. That's kind of that coiled piece of metal down in there that you can see. They have a separate and defined, you see the trigger bar, it's going to hit a disconnector and that's going to drop down the sear right here. Kind of get you a side angle so you can see how that works. A lot more stuff going on in there. You do need either a H&K special part tool or a very thin set of needle nose, get trigger spring back in there and work on this. A little bit more difficult to work on the H&K platform here, the VP9 itself, but it's solid. Let's go ahead. Reassembly is just the opposite. Get your barrel in there. Recoil spring and guide rod assembly. Oop, get that bad boy in there backwards. Trying to do this on camera. Get that bad boy in there. No, I did have it right. There we go. Get it on that lip. Lock it back. Throw your lever down. Do your functions check. You are good to go. Glock's going to be the same thing. Barrel. Dual captured recoil spring and guide rod assembly there. Make sure your trigger is pulled. Throw her back on. Functions check. And you are good to go. Both of these are solid performers out there. Let's go ahead and talk price, aftermarket following, how these things run out there, and what ammo's been through these things.
Both of these are absolute hammers out there on the range, and everything looks like a nail. These two things are going to chew through the ammo, even the cheap stuff. The only thing I haven't really tried in here is steel case stuff, because I have never found steel cased ammo to be reliable in just about anything. If you've had a different experience with it, let me know down in the comments. The last time my buddy brought some of that USA Forge stuff to the range, it wouldn't shoot for anything. When it comes to the aftermarket stuff, there is a following for both, but Glock has something like just about no other gun out there, with triggers and sights and slide work and magwells and just anything you can think of, back plates and whatever. Somebody makes it for a Glock. Probably 100 somebodies make it for a Glock at different levels of quality and price. So the aftermarket following for this thing is absolutely insane. Now that being said, for the Glock's perfection marketing thing, if it's so perfect, why do they make so many aftermarket parts for it? Now the H&K, there is definitely an aftermarket following for this, of which I'm going to be taking a part of. I'm going to be putting a magwell and a couple other things on here maybe and checking it out. Maybe getting into some slide work down the road. But it's a solid setup out of the box. There is an aftermarket following there. There is slide work companies there. Just not as big as the Glock. Now that could go to say that maybe it's a little bit better out of the box. That's really going to be up to you to decide. I kind of feel that out of the box, H&K felt better, obviously grip-wise, but that powder release was just something that was very tough for me to get over. Like I said prior, I really think if I get a hold of the one with the mag release on the pistol grip, it may change my mind, and we'll have to see about that in a later video. So when it comes to the handling and the feel of it in your hand, H&K is the clear winner ergonomically. Glock still feels like the brick, and I think Glock is always going to feel like the brick because it's a brick. Durability, safety, reliability, they are all on par with each other. Now let's talk about that price. Generally what I see right now on the internet is anywhere between like low fives, like very low fives, just over 515 maybe, to about 530 for the Glock out there in the 45. I've seen it down to that. I've seen it as high as 6, and that H&K I've seen right at the 6 and a little bit up. So prices do vary. There are different sales going on at different times. That's kind of what I've seen out there. So if I'm wrong on any of that, 1, check the date this video posted, and 2, prices change all the time. But generally you're gonna pay a little bit more, maybe that 10 to 15% more for the H&K, just in my experience. So if you're one of those people out there wondering what is gonna fit you, maybe a 45, 19, 17 or something like this, I really do like the 45 on the platform that Glock offers. I think it's the best one out there. And that's just kind of me because it covers so many bases between capacity, reliability, durability, concealability, and all that stuff in one. A lot of people out there will buy a 19 and then end up putting magazine extensions on it. I don't need to do that anymore with the 45. Conversely, everybody out there that may want to get into that H&K game, if you do, I suggest the gray, because gray is just sexy. But the H&K is a phenomenal pistol and a phenomenal name. Everybody out there knows H&K is a solid, reliable company. They've had some financial troubles, like I've said, over the years. I think they just got some good contracts. They may be doing a little bit of recovery there, but they were in some serious trouble for a while. But then again, there's a whole lot of companies that have gone out of business in the late 2019, early 2020 timeframe. In the end, really what you need to do if you have the money, time, and opportunity is get somewhere and either borrow these from a friend, which would be the cheapest way to go, or go out there and rent them if you have the time, money, and opportunity, because that's really gonna do for you the best you can between the two of these prior to buying one to figure out which way you want to go. And I always say to try and do that if you can, because the last thing you want to do is buy one of these, get it home, take it to the range a few times, find out you don't like it, and then you're either stuck with it or you have to spend money to sell it via a background check, or you're going to lose money on it. So do what you can to get these things in your hand and really do some range time with them prior to buying them. Now, if that's not an option for you, there are tons of other offerings out there, more economical ones that I will be getting into in the future. But these are just two in my collection that I really wanted to compare to each other and clear up any questions out there for you that may be interested in one or the other, or maybe that first time buyer. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you feel that I've earned it, hit that subscribe button for me. Like I said, if you want anything that you saw here in that video, whether it's the lights or those two hammers, I will leave those links down below. But if you're on YouTube, can't post the 2A stuff, so they will be in that first link in the description. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can use any of those links down below, or you can go to my TriStar and help me take this channel to the next level. You guys get out there, test a few of these things out, you stay safe, stay dangerous, and I will see you guys on the next one.